Come and get me. You scared? Crazy.
Hell yes, dudes. I am so damn excited to be recording this one. This is the one I think everyone dreads from the moment they decide to do an SS playthrough, and it lived up to the hype. One of the hardest rooms in the game, followed by 3 back-to-back bosses. It's as much a test of your endurance as it is skill, and I have more than my fair share of chokes. Finally getting through this has been the absolute best moment of my playthrough, and I'm just ecstatic to be recording this. Hell yes! With Royal Guard, I can avoid taking on the chessboard in an honest fashion. It takes 3 fully charged releases to kill the king, but even with this strategy it's still a total minefield and you can get screwed at a moment's notice because there's just so much going on. Initially there's a lot of waiting around for the king to wake up too, so if you're making multiple attempts at the mission it really adds up. More than a few times I found my concentration drifting. You can't kill anything here or you'll set the rest of the board into Devil Trigger, so it's really all about your dodging ability and camera work to survey the field and make sure nothing's coming at you from off screen. Farming the first full charge from the Queen is very easy, but it's not the case later on. It might look like I'm showing off here, which I kind of am because there's not much else to do, but it's also important for making sure you have the rhythm completely down when the entire board is active, and you have to go as quickly as possible. By paying attention to the music, I can position myself in front of the king as soon as he wakes up. When the guitar fades away and you can only hear the beat, you'll wake up around the end of the 8th bar. Music cues for timing are a fun tool I've used a lot in other games, but this is the first use I found for it in Devil May Cry 3, and just adds another little fun thing to keep an eye on. When the king is finally active, the real fight begins. Managing the queen while all this stuff is flying around you is when your ability to multitask is really tested. On top of this, you have to be quick about it. After a set period of time, they'll activate Devil Trigger and you'll need another 3 releases to finish the king off. The queen's AI isn't something you can directly predict outside of hitting it with a shot to make it charge at you, but when you play this enough times you start getting a feeling for where you should position yourself to get her locked in one place so you can guard her. The amount of enemies in the go here are a significant obstacle, because she's liable to get caught on them, and it's very hard to directly target her because there's just so much stuff. If she plays especially nice you can get a just release onto the king, but I didn't manage that here. The fight still went very well and she cooperated about as well as she ever does, allowing me to kill the king without much risk. Oh, by the way, thank God these Fallen aren't a mandatory fight. I would probably cry if they were. Agni and Rudra, Beowulf and Cerberus are the 3 bosses needed, and they can be tackled in any order. Although it meant changing style twice, I opted to do Beowulf first because he's the boss that gave me the most trouble by far. Back in Mission 11, the first time I made it to the boss fight, I took him down successfully, but here I got absolutely stonewalled by this dude for a long time. Just lots of silly little mistakes adding up to a lot of frustration. Beowulf is almost the same as the first time I fought him, but I'll go over it again. The strategy is focused around taking him head on with Royal Guard, followed by a big just release on his eye. Doing this much damage skips his second phase, and staggers him in the future for another big release to skip over his last phase too. He always goes into the cage throwing pattern no matter what, but that's okay because it's a perfect opportunity to recharge the rage meter. The only difference here from the original fight is that I need to keep full Devil Trigger for Cerberus next, so he has to be low enough for the release alone to finish him, which is where guard cancelled spiral shots come in. When he goes into the wing attack for the second time, he signs his death warrant and I clean him out with an SSS rating. Finishing with high style is important. If you just clear all the bosses with C's or B's or something, you won't hit the orb requirement and would have to fight a fourth boss, which is something I absolutely do not intend on doing. My Cerberus fight is pretty much completely different from the one back on chapter 3, which was terrible. I didn't really understand how he worked at all and just hid in the corner all day, and going into this mission there was no way I could justify to myself repeating that and not having some cool stuff to show off. Trickster is the only safe style for this guy. In his second phase when he turns red, his icicle rain is completely random. There's no safe way to take it on with Royal Guard short of killing the head that uses it before he gets a chance to, but you're still relying on luck there. With Trickster it's still easy to get hit by it, but your chance of survival goes up tremendously. As it turns out, focusing on fighting him with swords instead of guns makes things a lot easier. To open, I want to get a few hits on the green-eyed head. It's the one that uses icicle rain, so it needs to go ASAP, and getting a few extra hits in early can make all the difference. With a Devil Trigger explosion followed by an aerial cross, you can score a knockdown, and here's where it's time to go ham. You need to be on point here and get in as many hits as humanly possible, and thankfully you have a lot of time to do it. On top of the knockdown, when he gets back up he'll shake his head all over as he prepares to go into the second phase, giving you even more time to score hits. After he swaps phases, he's then open for another set of attacks before he gives himself ice armor, and if you manage to hit him enough you can score a second knockdown. I was only getting this about 20 or 30% of the time, so hitting it in the run that finally goes through and getting to show it off is something I'm very happy about. From here I'm taking no chances, time to go hide in the corner and finish him off with Spiral. Agni and Rudra are more than a little nerve-wracking. I'd made it here a few times before and choked it away, but I was feeling pretty serene after the double knockdown on Cerberus. I play it as slowly and safely as possible. If they weren't this deep in, I'd be taunting and trying to guard a lot more and maybe manipulate them into clashing their swords for free damage, but at this point you can't afford to do these things, as I learned more than once. Playing cautiously and letting them do their own thing is your best chance at survival and keeping your sanity. With patient play like this, they go down nicely to a fat release, followed by some regular attacks. In the ranking screen the timer shows 9 minutes, but man, it feels like eternity when almost all of that is fighting. It's some feeling getting this one out of the way, and I really hope you enjoy watching me slaughter these dudes because it was a blast. Thanks for watching as always, stay frosty my dudes.